You all asked for it, and here it is. A year ago, I attempted to fix this Panasonic 3DO with no video output. I thought a full recap would have solved the issue, but it still didn't work. I'm Chris with Titan Repairs, and on this channel, I rescue old video game consoles. Today, what we will be doing is we will be revisiting the same 3DO and hopefully finally track down the fault. Stay tuned. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of this video, there is something I do need to get off my chest. I had to start shooting a very different video than what we are going to be seeing here today. So I didn't do too much research, or rather any research into what's inside the 3DO before I started shooting this video originally. Now going into this project, what I was expecting was a simple fix like a bad capacitor, a broken trace, or a bad resistor. I figured I could just trace the signal or test with the multimeter to the failed component on the board. Lo and behold, I was looking at a more serious diagnosis, especially when I found the video signal wasn't coming out of the chip. And I definitely have never diagnosed a bad encoder chip before, so this was going to be a real learning curve for me. So let me send it over to future Chris to show briefly what I did before hitting the reset button on the video. So first thing I had to do was to get into the console and get down to the motherboard. Getting into the shell and down to the board was easily accomplished by taking out several screws. When I got down to the board, I started to check out the video encoder. The original website that I went to that had the schematic didn't have the model I had, so I was inadvertently looking at the wrong chip and testing for a completely different chip. I did quickly notice the error and found the datasheet of the actual video encoder the system has. It had all the information I needed. And using it, I didn't see a video signal. I should have paused there and checked more of the encoder, but I decided to test down the circuit. At first I tried testing the inductors, but they tested fine. Still unsure of where to go next and what components to test, I dug deeper in the internet and found the exact schematic I needed from another website. So using this schematic, I can find the exact components this 3DO had. I decided to test the video ports just in case that was bad, but obviously there was no signal there. And then I finally tested the resistors and found nothing out of the ordinary. Thanks, future Chris. Now, I did a lot of poring over the schematic and the encoder's data sheet, which I have right here, and it has an absolute treasure trove of information in it. And I also did my own research online. So allow me to share what I learned and how I'm going to be going about diagnosing this chip and the console. And we'll see if the console can be saved. And if you have your own ideas, I'd love to hear them down in the comments below, or even some things I can tighten up in my own process. I absolutely love hearing feedback, so feel free. So there is one final test that I have been saving, though, to do live with you all. But first, let's focus the attention on the chip. Okay, so I have the system powered up. It does need the disk drive to get to the main menu. It does go to the main menu. It's just we clearly, obviously, don't get video, as you saw in the previous video. So I have this supported on an egg carton right now, but I mean, still, I'm sure it'll be fine with the ribbon cables and stuff. I'm sure that that's definitely not going to stress anything. So first thing I want to do is clip on here for a ground for my probe. So we have the schematic here. You can also use the datasheet, but I just don't feel like using it at the moment. Yep, shut off there. I'm going to set this to DC coupling for the digital signals coming in. So I want to check first to make sure CK21 is working, and that's pin 60. And what that is, that's timing signals that keep the incoming data moving in step inside the chip. It's basically the clock pin. Let me bring this in a little bit. Oop. That's pin 60. What's nice on this board is it's got the pins all We do have a signal, but was that AC coupling? No. All right, there it is. And then we'll just stop that. And you can see the signal here. We'll run it again, we'll stop it again. So yeah, there we go, right there. We have a sync signal coming in, or a clock signal coming in. And that looks pretty even and everything, so that's not the issue there. Okay, so next I want to check the V-sync and the H-sync. So what that does is tell the chip where each of the scan lines starts and each frame begins. So it's kind of like starting like a new page in like a Word document. New page, a new line. That's one of the analogies I heard. So where was that? Oh, that was pin 14 and pin 15. So we got pin 10 here, 11, 12, 13, 14. And it's going to change the O-scope up a little bit, so we got a signal there. 14, 15. Oh, there, it's kind of starting to stabilize. I think this is more user error. Yeah, sorry, I'm like still, I've learned a lot about how to use the O-scope, and I'm definitely getting better at it. So yeah, we do have some kind of signal going on there, nice and even. I'm pretty sure that that's what we're looking for. So now I want to test the AD pins. Okay, so the next thing I want to test are these pins labeled AD 1 through whatever. So we got pretty much all of them on this side and then over here. Now what they're labeled as is R 0 through 7, B 0 through 7, and G 0 through 7. So what this is that these are the red, green, and blue picture data coming in from the GPU. So we will take our scope, and this whole side's going to have it. So you can see we have signal there, signal there, signal there. Let's keep going. Let's make sure we got data. There is data there, it's just being silly. Probably go in a little bit more on this, but kind of get the idea. If we stop it, and you see we have yeah, I mean, you get the idea. Oh, missed a pin there. All right. That's not acting weird, that's just the probe. It's my jittery hands. All right, and then what are we at? Pin 17 through 24, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 17. Right. 10, 15, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And there we go. So it does look like we are outputting a signal from the Clio here, which should be the GPU because that's where the traces are going. So yeah, so it looks like we are good there. So the next thing we can test are the analog signals coming out of the chip, which you could do that first. I just didn't do that because I'd have to change the coupling, and I already had it set on DC, so set that to AC. Now, what we need to look at is these three here. So we need C out at 36. So 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. And I ain't got anything there for the, what is that, chroma? I think that's chroma. 35, 34 is comp out B. We got nothing there. And then we just have to check L out. 33, 32. Nothing there. So it's definitely not outputting any kind of analog signal going to the ports. So there are some things we can check to make sure that proper power is going into other pins. You could use the oscilloscope for that, but I just find it easier using the multimeter. So let me get the multimeter out, and then we'll test those pins as well. Okay, next up, I got my multimeter here, so we're going to be testing some of the pins for power. So let's just put this on DC voltage. Move this down out of the light a little bit and power this up. Okay, so the first pins I want to check are these VDD pins. So pin 55, 60, 59, 58, 57, 56, 55. 5 volts there. Where's the next one? Pin 40 and pin 37. And 5 volts there. And then pin 37. And we got 5 volts there. Pin 31, 5 volts. So we're good on that side. And then is there another one? Yes, there is one. Pin 10, which is right here. 5 volts. Now what is the, just to double check, power supply input? Yeah. Max 7 volts. So gets power perfectly fine. So we're also going to check the reset pin for 5 volts, make sure it's sending power in to reset the chip. Yeah, because I believe that what that does is it forces the chip to start fresh. I guess when it powers up. Where is it? Pin 16. 5 volts. And then what does the thing say? Master reset. This is an active low input signal and must be asserted for a minimum of 2 periods in order to reset the chip. So it says it's an active low signal output. Or a low input signal. I have to double check that one. Next we want to look for the VREF pin, which is pin 28. And basically what my notes say here is it's a SETI reference voltage that the chip uses to measure picture levels. So that should be 1 volt. So that's pin 28. And we got 1 volt. And then test 0 through 7 should be 0 volts. Let's just probe a couple of them because they're all tied together. Yeah, we got nothing. Okay, so I did double check online about what the reset pin should be, and on video encoders it does seem like it should be, at least on this one, 5 volts at all times. So it goes low for a couple cycles and then goes high. I couldn't tell it on the multimeter, but if that's what it's supposed to be, then I'm sure that that's fine. I mean, everything else seemed to be testing fine. Okay, so there's one more test that I do want to do. So what I'm going to do is trace the circuit down. And what I want to do is isolate it just in case there's a short to ground somewhere. So I guess I'm going to try video comp out. So it looks like I can isolate 172 or C176. Can even probably take out L174, depending on what that is. Whatever is the easiest to take out. So let's see. Yep, there's L174 right there. I mean, it might just be easiest to take this out, especially considering C176 is one of these little guys. So I think taking out L174 and isolating the circuit might be the best first thing to try. And we'll see. Okay, got some things to take out here. You know, I probably should unplug this thing first. Alright, this has to come out too. Okay, I think we should be free. Remember, there wasn't a whole lot holding this down. Alright. Okay, we're on the back of the board here, and what I really like is how everything gets labeled on the back and the front. So I wish more companies would do that. So originally I was going to do, what was it, L174, which is for the composite, so it'd be this one. But since S-Video also goes through this as well, the Chroma and the Luma, I think, I'm going to remove, I'm going to desolder a leg on all three of these. So L70, L72, 172, and L174. Let's put a little flux on. Just in case one of those circuits is what's causing the problems. And then just kind of try to pull the legs out, because I think they're still going to be hitting the pads. This one's out, I just have to... There we go, I think I got it. Alright, cool. Okay, so we're here with the oscilloscope, and yeah, we're going to see if that removing those components out of the circuit's going to make much of a difference. So let me set that to AC coupling. Of course, got to remember to turn it on. Just want to make sure I have something where I can see a signal. I'm sure that that'll be fine. Okay, so pin 34 for comp out B. Yep, still got nothing. 36 is chroma out. 36, nothing. 32, and then 32 here is Luma out. Okay, so we've got nothing. So I'm gonna reasonably say that this chip is probably dead. Something failed inside. All right. That's unfortunate. I was really hoping for a good ending to this story, but guess we're gonna have to put this one on the back burner for now. I just don't really know what the best course of action to go about this is. I could just keep looking out for parts and repair 3DO, hopefully of the same model with the same encoder chip, so then we can do a chip swap or maybe even a board swap or something. Could maybe just buy another 3DO that actually works with all the work I'd be putting into this. But I also did find an obsolete website, like electronics website that sells obsolete parts. And supposedly it says that they have it listed. So I might throw caution in the wind and see if I can order it. Maybe I'll get lucky, maybe not. So I definitely would like to try and get this working somehow, but without getting an encoder chip, there's really not much we can do until that comes in, or I find one. So I guess with that said, that'll conclude this episode. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this journey the last couple of videos. I know we didn't successfully get it working, but maybe in the future we can. So like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye for now.